Hey, Channel Insiders, I'm your host, Katie Bavoso, and welcome back for part 2 of my interview with Jason Wright, CEO of AVATAR MSP. If you haven't watched or listened to part 1, head on over to channelinsider.com right now to catch up. Today in part 2, Jason and I continue to discuss what differentiates AVATAR as an MSP and the lessons, both positive and tough, that Jason learned in his first 2 years as CEO of the business. Is there a success story you can tell me in which you were able to help a specific customer be able to find that solution that was able to help them drive success or to work with you to avoid that threat actor? Anything like that that you could share with me?
Yeah, there's actually a couple of wins that really come to mind, especially in that middle market space. I can think of a company called Transit Technologies based out of Knoxville, Tennessee, private equity backed. It's actually a portfolio of software companies designing software for the transportation and logistics industry. So they really operate as 3, 4, 500 users across 6 different companies. Each of those companies are using different technologies. They have different processes in terms of how they manage IT. So the challenge was really how do we bring together a solution that addresses the needs at an enterprise level and really considering the demands placed on the business by private equity and their expectations around growth, but while still simplifying and giving them somewhat of a custom feel, right? And so in that particular case, we won an RFP. It was a pretty rigorously run RFP. The company is backed by a very strategic CIO, and he had also some pretty stringent compliance mandates to get them to a SOC 2 Type 2 certification in a really short time frame, right? So really the essence behind that is there were multiple players in the sandbox, so to speak, all delivering strategic value-added services. And we had to come together in a collaborative way, deliver on a singular solution for the customer that could then scale based on the growth that the private equity was driving from behind the scenes. And so that has been a very successful win for us. And with companies like that, this one started out 300 users and in 6 months is already approaching 400 users, and 18 to 24 months is going to double its number of employees. So they need good partners that can effectively help them scale. One other one that I'll mention is a locally based, publicly traded energy company that had focusing on some new IP and technology and carbon sequestration and natural gas production. Net Power is the name of the company. And so they were actually looking at some of the big players in the markets, the folks like Infosys. I mean, people that frankly we would never compete with in a regular opportunity. This company is well funded and is looking to build anywhere between 10 and 30 natural gas transmission plants in each of the next 3 years. So if all goes to plan, they could be as many as 90 power plants in that time frame. And ultimately, they chose us for our sort of ability to be nimble and tailor a package that fit their specific need, but could also scale on demand and address that kind of growth.
So impressive. And thank you so much for sharing about those, Jason. I'm excited to hear about everything that comes not only in 2024, but beyond. And when I think about this year and I think about the future, I'm also thinking about the tech trends that we're seeing. I'm sure you know which one I'm going to mention. AI, of course, is completely saturating this space. But whether or not it's AI or any other technology trends, are there any ones that you're watching closely or perhaps implementing into your line of business?
Well, we certainly are focused on how we're leveraging AI to impact our business. We've built a center of excellence around AI, and we've hired automation engineers. We're advancing our efforts around scripting and building telemetry so that in our business, this is not really a new trend, right?
Right.
Automation has been around for forever in sort of a monitoring capacity or preventative maintenance. but thinking about how you can incorporate the generative AI components into automation for some truly disruptive technology is where we're at today. I think of things like just the client engagement interaction in ways that you can automate that but still personalize it. I think of things that we're sort of working on internally around knowledge base and allowing people to do some self-service capabilities on their own for faster resolution without having to necessarily go through traditional channels of getting support, right? So, my advice to the market is um, invest in it, focus on it, but do it for your business and driving optimization and efficiency in terms of your own service delivery capabilities before you then think about taking it to market as a professional service or a consulting engagement, because we really as an industry need to eat our own dog food first and learn the ins and outs. If you're not working towards an effective solution that solves a business outcome or affects the business in some actionable way, whether it's reducing cost, providing scale to the organization, creating opportunities for revenue generation, then you're really just wasting your time and your client's time. So ultimately, focus on how you use it internally to improve process and service delivery, I would say, before you try to take it to market as a product or service offering.
And Jason, you brought up data, and something I meant to ask earlier was earlier on in your journey with Avatar, you really wanted to focus on employee productivity and increasing that for your customers with data. Can I follow up on that? How is that going? How is that something that you've been able to grow or to continue with?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I thought that was something that I was truly going to be able to disrupt the industry with. And frankly, this idea around human capital management and productivity monitoring around employees and staff, you saw a big uptick in startups and people bringing products to the marketplace around that because of the pandemic and the push to work remote. And there's still a place for it. If you think about free seating environments, client customer service environments, shift working type environments, there's definitely a place in terms of monitoring and measuring for productivity and in a way that you can draw specific outcomes for. But overall, at the enterprise level, I just didn't see adoption really take off like I thought it might, right? So we still have it. We use it. We use it internally ourselves to measure productivity. Really, how I use it more than anything is to see, am I getting usage and engagement out of my vendors, out of the tools that I buy, or my team's actually using it, and sort of measuring progress in terms of when we first bring it in, and in terms of time to value and adoption, how quickly are we utilizing it. So it has its place. It will continue to have its place, but it's not going to revolutionize the workplace. And frankly, I think things are still trending back towards people trying to pull people in.
Hmm.
I don't care what anybody says, and I used to argue one way or the other. You're less productive remote. The data says it. We've been measuring it, and I belong to True Methods, Kaseya's peer group, and we really get a lot of value out of being in that group. And we've run some internal multi-year studies, and nowhere have I seen yet in any industry to make a valid use case that working remote is more productive. I'm not saying it's necessarily uh, less productive or to any particular level, but here at our office, we do some flex scheduling to benefit our employees, but we work here in the office because nothing replaces that swivel chair capability and collaboration of being in the office and being able to stand over somebody's shoulder and see how they do things. Teams and Slack and all that provides a ton of value, but I just didn't see it. I didn't see the trend take off like I thought I would. And for those who argued with me back then, there's a few I'm thinking of in particular on LinkedIn when they would see some of my posts. I stand corrected.
Oh, First of all, incredibly humble of you to say, but I think that also points out some incredible things that we've learned as a workforce and a society in the last 2 years. We really did think some things were going to trend in one direction and they didn't. So I think what you experienced there was something that we were seeing on a societal level. So really interesting what you were able to learn from that experience. Are there any vendors or solutions that you're seeing right now that you're either working with, implementing into your stack, or that are just really operating well in the channel that you would want to shout out?
Well, yes, there's a couple. I mentioned True Methods. I recommend to any of my peers in the industry, get in a peer group. It's the best thing you can do in terms of mentorship. And, there are a number of them out there. I certainly recommend True Methods 1,000%. It's been great. The owner was in it when I bought the business, and I decided to check it out, and I've stayed with it, and I've really enjoyed my time in there. From a security standpoint, we have really locked arms with a company called Total out of Denver in terms of a full suite of services, kind of defense in-depth strategy in terms of bringing all of those security products consolidated into single pane of glass and sort of layering in the governance, risk, compliance capabilities into the platform. And we've seen a lot of success going to market with them. Of course, we still have heavy investments with both Kaseya and ConnectWise. That we're still big fans of the Datto product line and what Kaseya is doing with 365. I think is going to have some interesting ripple effects across the community. And you guys, of course, right? Technology advice and what we're doing with you guys and some marketing campaigns, really starting to lean on you guys in a marketing capacity. We brought in HubSpot to do some interesting things on our lead generation. I love talking sales, marketing, and lead generation because that's sort of my ballywick. But and of course, I've always got to shout out our friends at the channel company of just what you guys are doing now and what they're doing are just absolutely instrumental in terms of the promotion. You look at the spend, Katie, that is being driven now around a lot of these in our industry, in those market segments we defined around those sort of technology trends I mentioned earlier. And it's just unbelievable. I wouldn't want to be in any other industry at any other time at any other point in history than where we are right now within the MSP space and technology. And you guys have really been at the forefront, the folks at the channel company, and sort of advocating for the industry and helping our growth. PAX 8, those guys, Nick Hetty, Rob Ray, David Powell, and the whole team. I would be remiss if I didn't point out how much of a strategic partner they have been, just in terms of understanding partner programs, specifically with Microsoft. We had a huge historical win for us just last month down in Miami, and we actually had lost that customer. We've had two massive deals equaling 50K in MRR. In both cases, we lost because we wouldn't compromise our values. And then within short order, when those vendors couldn't perform, we pulled those deals back and won. And it was PAX 8 who was really with us along the way, understanding some of the back end programs and how we could flex here and, scratch here to put together the right solution. So I had to mention those guys.
Absolutely. I completely understand about that. And Jason, I also just want to know, in knowing you and knowing what a fellow man you are, you just love to care about people. Everything you told us at the beginning about some of the natural disaster work that you were physically getting involved in, knowing what a patriot you are and how much you care about our military and our armed forces. I just have to ask, is there anything that you're doing this year that you'd like to talk about as far as your philanthropic work and Avatar's philanthropic work?
Always. I mean, a consistent presence we always maintain is in prison entrepreneurship, prison ministry. We certainly believe in sort of people who are looking for a second chance in life. You can kind of see this painting behind, it's reversed, but it's Psalms 91, which is very near and dear to my heart. But We've always sort of embraced that second chance mentality, right? All of us have made mistakes in life. And so we work very closely with Prison Entrepreneurship Program, PEP. They built a huge new incubator in Houston, close to 40,000 square feet with podcast rooms, meeting rooms. It's what we call a place for collisions where folks who volunteer like myself can meet with people who are coming out of the program and help them get back on their feet and really help them prepare to be entrepreneurs in their own right? Because sometimes it's hard for them to get jobs in the corporate world. So PEP has always been a big deal to us. Just in this last quarter alone, we did a big event for Youth for Christ and made some sizable donations there. The Leukemia and Lymphoma Foundation and supporting our friend Claudia Walkup, who's in the technology industry, and the wonderful effort she's done to raise awareness for that. We sewed into STEM programs at Lone Star College here in Houston and programs with University of Houston through the SIM, Society of Information Managers organization. So we're always doing a lot. I really got into business for 3 reasons, right? One was I really wanted to be the only voice in the room. I didn't really want partners this time around because I wanted to be able to drive the vision. Not that I don't consult with my team for vision and strategy, but I knew the things we wanted to address in the market, and I wanted to go forward. Secondly, we wanted to build a company that was going to be growth-minded, growth-oriented, because frankly, all we wanted to do was be able to employ more and more and more people so that they could in turn provide for their families, realize their dreams, sow into the causes and charities that are important to them. And then third was with whatever material resources and wealth we could generate through the company, we wanted to be able to sow into the kingdom on such a greater level. You know me, that my faith is deeply important to me, and my wife in her ministry for the brokenhearted is something that we've seen tremendous growth with, and so we want to fund her efforts in the good work she's doing. We've established a scholarship program for people that can go and seek help and get the counseling they need. So anything and everything, and the 10,000 other things that our employees want to do, we can't give away money fast enough.
Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I'm blown away. So many wonderful things, so little time, and I'm just so impressed by everything that you're doing. So thank you very much for just being an amazing citizen. I appreciate that. And hey, for the folks listening at home or watching, if anybody wants to get involved with you for learning more about AVATAR, or just talk to you and find out how they can get involved with some of the amazing work that you're doing inside and outside of the office, how can they get in touch with you?
Go to the AVATAR MSP pages on LinkedIn, X, Facebook, and like our pages, follow us, give us your support there, and we share a ton of information. We're very active on those pages, and that's where you can find out more and get involved. Like we partner with other people that are doing cool things, different charities that they're supporting, and we encourage you to do the same if you're interested in any one thing and you just want to tag along.
Would you also mind, just for our podcast listeners, would you mind just saying your website?
Sure. AVATAR MSP, managedserviceprovider.com. So AVATAR MSP.
Jason, thank you so much for your time today. Truly, it's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Oh, it's been all my pleasure. So good to see you again, Katie. And again, thank you so much.
Thanks so much to Jason for joining me for this interview, and thank you, as always, for watching or listening. Check out all episodes of Channel Insider Partner POV on channelinsider.com, or watch on our YouTube page at channelinsider_news and trends. You can also listen to the podcast version of every episode on your favorite podcast listening platform. Don't forget to connect with Channel Insider on LinkedIn and X. You can also connect with me at Katie Bavoso. Once again, I'm your host, Katie Bavoso, and I'll see you next time.